We're live. All right, what's going on, everyone? Good morning. It's another episode of Soul Boxing Podcast. It's your boy Manny. We got Coach. Coach, you got Instagram?
What's going on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube? This morning we got amateur standoff and TMT signee, huh? You going pro with the money team, right?
Yes, sir.
Jalil Hackett, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. Can't complain.
Good deal. Jalil, where you from, brother?
I'm from Washington, D.C.
Oh man, that's a fight time. Fight City. You did your amateur stuff. You started amateur fighting in Washington.
Yes, started here.
Okay. How many fights you had, man, roughly, as an amateur?
Around 160. Actually, almost 160.
A lot of fighting.
Yeah, man. When did you start fighting? How old were you?
When I was 8.
Wow.
How old are you now?
17, huh?
In it to win. What level did you go? Did you made the team or what? USA boxing?
Yes. I competed out of the country multiple times in Canada, Puerto Rico, Hungary, many places.
Everywhere, huh? That's that experience is valuable for what you about to start doing.
Yeah, it's really valuable.
Yeah. What years were you on the national team?
2016, 2017, and 2018.
Man, you was up there with my kids then. You know Quentin Randall?
Quentin Randall, yeah, from Texas, tall. He fought 165. He was on the elite team. Oh, 152. Yeah, he was an elite. I was a junior.
Okay. Yeah, that's my fighter, man. I developed him from the ground up, starting in 2012. And he made the team, I think it was 17 and 18, I think. I ain't got no good memory. So you was traveling, going out of the country. How did you like that, man? Did you enjoy it?
It was a great experience, not only as a fighter, but as a young teen, going to places that I never thought I would be able to go. Or like your average kid doesn't just say, "Oh, I spent a couple weeks in Hungary," or I spent a little bit of time in Switzerland, or wherever I may end up. And it was just a great experience, getting to fight different types of fighters because, across the water, they fight way different from us here in America. And, the people are just different, just being around different types of people. It was a great experience.
I'm glad you brought that up, man. Which area of the world, country that you traveled to, who did you find the most competitive? Whether, wins or losses, doesn't matter. I'm talking about their boxing ability. Who did you find the most frustrating, the most educated? What countries you traveled to did you find, were successful at boxing, were good boxers?
My top 3, I can give you a top 3. It would have to be, and it's crazy how close they are in vicinity. It was Russia, Ukraine, and Uzbekistan.
Eastern European?
Yes, basically. All of them guys are nice.
Paulie got fucked over for saying the boys could fight. Yeah, man.
That's how you see it.
I don't know where I've said that to a bunch of people for the last 10 years, man. I was like, how do these guys know what they know? It's puzzling to me, to see those educated fighters come out of the country that when I was a kid, wasn't known for boxing. That wasn't their thing, fighting. But now they seem like educated fighters, is what I'm saying. I don't know if they studied us, our great amateurs. I don't know. I don't know if they trying to mix some Cuba with some America. I don't know what they doing, man. But they can fight. Boys can fight, man.
Hey, Jamil, being 17, bro, you already have 160 fights. You started off at 8. Why boxing? How'd you get into the sport?
It was more so of a like, I'm gonna try it, just something to do, because originally I played football.
Mm-hmm.
And boxing was more so just something to do while the football season wasn't going on. And after 2 years of like doing it just a little bit, I was like, man, I should try to take this serious. And I took it serious. I got better. And then after like my 11th birthday, I said, I don't want to play football no more. I just want to do strictly boxing. And the rest is history.
And what did mom and dad say when you came home and said that? Were they supportive? Were they excited?
At first, mom was like, nah. She was cool with me just going to the gym, hitting the bag and stuff. But I was like, I wanted to like all the way be into it. She was like, nah. But dad was like, man, if he wanted to do it, let him do it. So I tried it, and I think that was one of the best decisions I could have ever made.
Now your dad manages you, right? And does he? He's your coach as well, right? Dad, you back?
Yes, sir. Yes.
What's your dad's background in boxing?
I'll let him speak on his background.
I boxed as a youth. Enjoyed the sport of boxing. It was a very good sport. My concentration was football. Enjoyed both, but I wanted to go to college and pursue football. So I did that. And while in college, I got injured. Wasn't able to continue football. Came home and got back into the gym and enjoyed boxing. Got to the point where that was looking like I could do that as a career. Then I had a couple of issues that happened outside the ring, and then I had an injury, and that ended boxing for me, and I went into coaching.
Nice. Now I have a 7-year-old, and I want her to box, but one of the things that I'm careful with is not pushing it on her. I want her to embrace it and as she gets older, because I think 7 right now might be a little too young, especially for a girl. So I want her just to embrace it as she gets older. How did he respond, and how did he embrace boxing initially? And how were you, as far as a father / coach, presenting it to him?
Well, he would go to the gym with me at the time when he was very young. I was training Maurice Byram. We have a very close, long-standing relationship with Gary Russell and that whole family. And he would just go to the gym. Coach Herb Martin, who was one of the Olympic team coaches many years ago, he was also at the gym, and he was just with me. I didn't even encourage boxing. I discouraged boxing. I wanted him to play football. I wanted him to go to college and go that route. He chose to change the direction of his life, and when he chose it, I'm a father that believes that I'll give you options, but when you pick what your passion is, I'm going to support your passion. So when he told me that football wasn't his thing no more and he wanted to box, I said, okay, but you got to give it your all. And I just jumped right behind him with boxing.
Now, did you see that he had something from the jump?
He could fight and not box. I like to clear that up. He could just fight. Couldn't box any, but he was a fighter. And he didn't care if you could box, because there was plenty of kids that could outbox him, but they couldn't outfight him. And when I saw that he had the tenacity for that, I said, hey, we got to, let him learn the nuances of the sport now and put that with his fighting. But at the beginning, when he was just a fighter, I just wanted to cultivate fighting. I didn't want to cultivate boxing, teaching them tricks or anything. First, let's just be a fighter. And that came from my favorite fighters were a lot of Latino fighters. Chavez, he was my top. Now, honestly, he was my guy. I thought Chavez was the greatest. Then you had a lot of other Latin fighters like the Cotos, the Trinidads, and that machismo thing, that man thing was what they were into. They could box, but they were fighters first. So that's how I wanted to train my son.
Coach, I know that you're always fascinated with father-son teams. How do y'all like your dynamic as far as being father and son? What are some of the advantages and disadvantages that you guys have faced?
Hold on 1 second. We're having a little bit of trouble with the sound.
Yeah, we having a volume issue.
All right. Hold on, I got you.
Camera mic.
Yeah, it kind of broke up on me too. I think I heard you.
Audio.
You can hear him right there.
Yeah,
we can hear you, but not that good. Hold on.
Put it into your ear and then get the tablet.
Hold on, we're about to try to leave and join back.
All right, sounds good. All right, so I guess we'll announce that tomorrow I'll be going live with Marlene at noon.
Oh yeah. IG, huh?
Yeah, we're going to talk about her upcoming fight in August. We're going to talk about Sanice. We're going to talk about the weather.
Yeah, you need to get her on, man.
There we go.
You can hear good?
Yeah, I can hear y'all now.
Perfect.
That's normally if something happens, just hop off and hop back on and straighten out, whatever the reason is.
Okay. No, it was when you got the phone call that messes up the audio.
Okay.
Oh yeah, if a call comes in, it's over.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead, man.
No, go ahead, D.
Nah, I don't think they heard your question before.
I was just going to ask, how is it for you working with your dad? What has been some of the advantages and disadvantages of the father-son duel?
I feel like it was the advantages outweigh the disadvantages by a million. Mm-hmm. But one of the main advantages of having my dad as my trainer was we're together all the time. And some people may look at it as a disadvantage, but I looked at it as an advantage. You know, we always, I ain't saying we're always talking boxing, but it's like we always get around the topic of boxing when we're talking about anything. And second of all, it's great living with a coach. You know, you live with a coach, I feel like it makes you a better overall fighter compared to a guy that just has a coach. When you're living with your coach, it's like you're basically living boxing.
Right. Now you're out of Washington D.C. Tell us a little bit about your background and growing up. What kind of and you're 17, so you still got a lifetime ahead of you. But how has your youth been so far, and how has boxing played a part of it?
My growing up in DC, it was good. I live with my dad all my life, and it's been real cool. I think I done tried almost every sport.
Yeah.
I think I done tried everything except for baseball, and even that I tried t-ball when I was little.
Yeah.
Everything I did as a kid, my dad always supported me 100%. And yeah, everything was cool. And then, when boxing came into the picture, I feel like that made everything way better. Especially when
how has so being getting involved in the sport at such an early age, how has that affected you? As far as friends go, as far as schools go, while other kids are out, doing whatever they're doing, you in the gym, you in the lab, you doing work. How has that affected you? Do you not even miss any of that other stuff and just excited about being concentrated in boxing?
sometimes especially as a young fighter, like a few years back as like a 12 and 13-year-old, sometimes it did get to me a little bit because there would be times where like when my birthday came, ain't no partying or nothing because you fight in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Or sometimes shit, I didn't even fought on my birthday a couple times. It was always something sometimes on my birthday, and at first it would make me mad, but now that I'm older, like this year on my birthday, I was in the gym.
Yeah.
I wasn't in the gym because the corona, but I was working out on my birthday. Yeah, that meant nothing to me. I was pushing more towards working out. I wasn't even worried about having like a birthday party, so to speak. And yeah, I feel like now that I'm getting older, it doesn't affect me as much. But as a young fighter, it did affect me a lot.
But you gotta look at it like this: while everyone else was out, doing their thing, you out traveling the world. So
Yeah.
the trade-off, I think you win on the trade-off. Why don't you tell us a little bit how you got connected with Mayweather?
So it all started with more so, I told my dad, I'm thinking about after I turn 16, I want to turn pro. And because of course, the Olympics, you have to be 19 to qualify for the trials and all that. And I knew that in order for me to have a chance to fight in the Olympics, I have to wait till 2024. And by 2024, they could have a new favorite. You know how boxing is. So I was like, yeah, Dad, I want to go pro. And so he was like, all right, I'm gonna start looking around and I'm gonna make that announcement. I'm gonna make it public. Let everybody know that you think about going pro. So when the announcement was made, I got a couple offers from Top Rank, Golden Boy, Daz, and when they first came out, it was a couple nice offers. And my dad had a friend, and his friend was like, "Yeah, man, your son's still fighting." He was like, "Yeah, he's still fighting, he's still moving around. He's thinking about going pro, looking for someone to sign with." And his friend was like, "Man, I'm going to reach out to my guy." He was like, oh, okay. And come to find out, his guy was Derek Curry. And he reached out to Derek, and Derek was like, man, I'm come check out your son, talking to my dad. He's like, I'm going to check out your son, see what he can do. I'm going to come watch him spar and watch him train one day. And so he comes like a month or so later because my dad called him like every other day, like, you going to come see my son train. You going to come see my son train. You going to come see my son train. He was like, all right, okay. And, Derek, I remember after the fact, Derek was telling me, man, at first I wasn't even in a rush because it's like this 17-year-old, well, at the time I was 15 when he came and checked me out. I was 15 turning 16. He was like, this 15-year-old kid can't be that good. So he comes to check me out, and he says the sparring was like amazing. The sparring was amazing. The watching me work out, it was amazing. But he said the thing he was most impressed with was the way I talked to him after I sparred and after I worked out and stuff. As far as like me as a person, what do I want to do other than boxing? Me thinking as an entrepreneur. And a businessman. That's what he liked the most. And the rest is history.
Nice. You wasn't kidding. That's what it was. You was mature. I said you wasn't kidding. You was mature.
Yeah, everything was serious business like, and that's what he liked the most.
So then y'all in Washington right now? Y'all
Yes,
ain't moving.
Nah.
So they plugged you up. You signed with Mayweather with the money team. So what's the plan? I know Corona done sidetracked you like it did everybody. But
heavy.
Yeah, what was the plan? Signing. What was the plan?
The plan was to sign after my 17th birthday on May 11th, and then fight sometime late May or early June. But, since the whole Corona situation happened, the plan now is to fight sometime in October.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
And I see, Top Rank jumped out ahead of everybody with the shows. And you seen how some of them shows even got some monkey wrenches thrown in there with people failing tests. But then PBC just put out a bunch of dates, huh?
Yeah.
They about to kick it out.
Started today, actually.
That's right. That's right. I seen that. Are y'all hoping to get on one of these dates or the next batch of fights or what? Or is it still in the air?
We're not sure. We're just, I leave the training to me, and I let like my dad and Leonard and Derek, I let them handle everything as far as setting up dates to fight.
That understanding right there is so much such an advantage, bro. Because you'll worry yourself silly, man, worrying about the business end of this thing. It's good that you got people that's looking out for you and is gonna make the moves for you. So just stay in shape and be ready when they do pull the trick. Because that's just how it happens, man. Look at. I don't care if you're a world champion, man. Look how shit just changes on a dime. People fall out
in a second.
Look at the most, I guess the biggest one recently was when the old boy failed all them steroid tests, and they thought they got a walkover. That boy ended up ass whooping Joshua and Madison Square, man. So even at the top level, the elite level of the pros, man, I'm talking about millions and millions and millions of dollars, just like that overnight. Whoops, we messed up.
Yeah,
you messed up. So if you can focus just on that training, bro, that's such a big advantage, man. And now that your pop's back, I seen what Manny was talking about, that father-son relationship, and I find that dynamics. Anybody who tells me they have a equation, boxing worked out, this plus this and this is how it works, they don't know what the fuck they talking about, man. Anybody says, I don't believe in father-son teams. That's limiting yourself out the gate, because there's several successful father-son teams. I
feel like, in my opinion, most even if it's a father of a father-son team that says it don't work, or a fighter of a father-son team, or just anybody in general that says it doesn't work, I feel like that's a person who doesn't have like a bond or chemistry with their dad. Like, I feel like me and my dad, like we do almost everything together. And leave it up to my other brothers and sisters. They like, man, Jalil, you dad favorite. You his favorite. And I used to be like, nah, but I tell him like, yeah, I know, because we always together.
Son, let me tell you something. Any parent that tells people they don't have a favorite kid, they lie, because they try not to hurt nobody's feelings. People is people, man. You meet people and you instantly get chemistry and like them, or you meet people and you're like, this ain't my type of dude. It's the same thing with your kids. You love them all. That's what parents who say that, I ain't got a favorite, they think you're asking them, do you love this kid more than, I love them all. I do anything for all of them. But I can't stand this motherfucker. And this one here is my favorite. I've been having babies since your age, son. Don't do that. Don't do it. But I've been having babies since your age. I got 8 children, bro. And I absolutely got a favorite. And they know. It's just who you bind with. But this is what I'm gonna say. People will say the father-son teams, man. I got 3 boys, man. My oldest son is 24. I got a 17 and a 14. And I'm glad none of them wanted to fight, right? They learned to fight. They spar, box, all that shit. But like your pop said, my middle son, the athlete, he rather basketball and football, right? He's a dual athlete. But if they were to say, nah, Dave, we want to fight, man, ain't nobody gonna look after my son like me. So I'm gonna be there training, and I'll give a damn. And if somebody say father-son teams, I'm gonna say, look at my other fighters. If I got success with them, you think I ain't gonna get success with my kid, with my own son, man? Anybody who think they got a foolproof plan with this shit, man, there's no governing, there's no this is contract labor right here, man. This is contract work, man. If I get the job done, it's right. That's how you do it right.
Basically.
Yes. And
I tell a lot of them that. It's funny you say that. I tell a lot of people who ask that question, or they ask the question of who's the best trainer. I think they go hand in hand, because my answer to that is, how many world titles do we have? Even if we just look at the major four, IBF, WA, WBC, IBO, if we look at those four, no one coach coaches every single champion. So you got at least 4 coaches in each division that know what they're doing. So if they all know what they're doing and they all do it different ways, it's finding the mix of chemistry of fighter and coach, not father and son. If it just happens to be father and son, that's great. But if it doesn't, it's a chemistry thing that has to develop. You know, I look at Jojo Diaz. His father wasn't a boxer, and he took his son all the way to a world title, and he wasn't even a boxer.
There you go.
Yeah.
Listen, man. You're right, coach, and I agree with you. This is the thing, man. And I tell everybody, Joe Louis was knocked out. You can be knocked out. Anybody can be knocked out. One punch changes everything. You could be Michael Nunn was schooling James Toney, and in that 11th round or something got slipped, right? And this was a guy they were saying was the next Ray Leonard. You know, you remember that, coach, back in the 80s. And one shot put James Toney in the category of he's the man, and Michael Nunn is up. We got to see. My point to that is this: Michael Nunn was great, but my point to that was this: it's too many moving parts, bro, in boxing to sit there and pretend like you understand, because it's chemistry. It's one shot changes everything. You know, maybe a kid. You said something at the beginning, bro. Your son liked to fight. Yeah, these boys was boxing, but my son will get down. I knew what you meant. He'll go there and bite down, and if you ain't got that in you, I don't give a shit if you a box. It ain't gonna matter by the time it's over with. So the thing is, Jalil, and you can correct me anytime, you know, if I go off on a tangent, bro. But listen, Jalil gonna have to lean on that dog sometime. Sometimes he gonna have to lean on that boxing. Sometimes he gonna have to lean on you as his trainer, right? He may be having a bad day, and you gotta light that fire on there, or let him understand what's going on because his mind's running. It's too much shit in boxing, man, to pretend you got a foolproof of what it takes to be a trainer in a fight. Man, get the fuck out of here, man. You can't do that.
That don't exist.
It doesn't. It doesn't, man. And like you said, man, my training idol, I would say, is probably Eddie Funch, but Manuel Stewart, right? So I remember distinctly when Jermaine Taylor was fighting, he done got to the middleweight championship. Jermaine Taylor done beat X twice. Whether you think he did or he didn't, the record book says he beat him twice, right? So they pop up and say, Manuel Stewart's gonna be with Jermaine Taylor. I said, oh, they're in trouble now. They're in trouble now. He's gonna make this kid even more better, right? And nothing further from the truth. Because I imagine it was a chemistry thing. You know what I'm saying? I imagine
Yeah.
And he got one of the greatest trainers to ever put gloves on kids, and it just didn't work. Same thing with Prince Nassim. He didn't help Prince Nassim, but he got 50 other world champions. It's that chemistry. It's whatever that thing that you can motivate him, depending on, and whatever kind of coach it is, you need that type of fighter that responds to you. Look at Teddy Atlas being on the shows, making it about him and shit every fight. He making these big old speeches and shit in the corner, and every fighter don't. And Teddy Atlas is great. I ain't shitting on him, but I'm saying every fighter don't respond to that. You know what I'm saying? No. He called himself motivating you. You making a fighter cut you off. Oh man, I ain't listening to this dude.
Man, if you look at, I tell you some good scenarios that you just brought up. If you look at the fight, two fights. If you look at the Gary Russell Jr. Lomachenko fight, and if you look at the Gary Russell Jr. Jojo Diaz fight, you saw 3 different styles of father-son, and none of them were wrong, but they all did it different. In the Lomo fight, if you look at the second round, Gary's dad looked at him and said, "How are you feeling?" He realized something wasn't right with him in the second round. And, Gary was telling, man, I feel drained. And you look at Lomo, him and his dad look like they having a conversation over coffee and cookies when they be in the corner. When you look at Jojo Diaz and his dad, it's more like, come on, son, pick it up. All 3 have different styles, but I think it works with them because no matter who you are, no matter what sport or life you're in, your child. I've been around Gary all his life. Gary's one of the most dynamic boxers I've ever seen, talent-wise, ability. But I've seen him and his dad be so locked in sync where you think they're using the same mind. Gary would do something and his father's saying it, and it's like they're a joystick, video game joystick. And that's because he know his son. When I see those situations, I don't feel bad or look or think different when those combinations say me and my dad are best friends. Because in order to know somebody that well, there's a level of friendship that goes and expands beyond the father-son. When Trinidad's dad stopped the fight with B-Hop, he didn't stop the fight and then Trinidad look at him all upset. He embraced his son like, I know I got the best out of you and we're done. And at that point, you saw the father say, not the coach stopped this fight, your father stopped this fight. That's what I get out. That's the part of boxing that I take away from father-sons. If my son is giving me everything I know he got, I don't care if it's the 10th round and people are saying he still look like he got a little more. I'm going to stop him. And we're not going to discuss it because my son knows I'm doing what's in his best interest. I didn't get into this for me to make $1 million and him to be a vegetable. I got into this so that my son could be financially prosperous and be able to enjoy it with his family.
The worst thing in the world is a bread corner, brother. And if you don't know that your fighter's done, something wrong with you. When he's done. That's how kids get changed, man. I don't believe that shit. And what you said about the chemistry, with the father-son thing. Listen, man, when it's there, father-son or not, we'll be sparring, and I tell, and my man, my national champion fight, we 6-0 now, and Corona threw us off, right? But when we spar, we fighting whatever, it ain't a bunch of talking cause you see it, you'll hear him in the middle of it. Oh, whoa, it happens now. That's that locked in and knowing what he's feeling, knowing him, and those relationships only come, and I'm sorry, they don't like to hear this shit, but it only comes from experience, man, doing it and developing together, right? And developing that relationship and developing his ability, his maturity, your coaching ability. Y'all start meshing and melting minds together. I'm sure you and your son. I'm sure y'all do the same thing. Jalil, you see it? You already know what's happening, man. And you can't fake that thing. So to act like a father-son can't have that, that's ridiculous. That's already limiting. Those people with that understanding already limited themselves out the gate as a trainer. Because if I can have that with a kid that ain't my son, you think I'm not gonna have it with my son? That shit don't matter. And I'm gonna be just as protective that I am with my fighter. Then if I'm with my son, he ain't my son, I'm gonna be protected. I'm not a bread former, bro. Because my whole job is to protect you. Your job is to fight. My job is to protect you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I feel like this, man. I don't know how you feel, and there's bad stoppages all the time. We know that. But a lot of times, it'd be a ref stopping the fight, and I'm like, man, what the fuck's wrong with this dude's coach, man? The ref should, you know him better than the ref. If the ref is getting his fucking brains beat out, what was you looking at? You know? And that shit runs me hot, bro. And that's why when I see these, and we do know coach changes need to happen sometime, right? Sometime, and it's always good when the coach, son, we need to get somebody else. You know, we don't, you know, I can still be around and let's get some, that's a great thing. That shows that the trainer's looking out for the fight. But sometimes he flip-flopping coaches, man. And I'm like, you don't got no rapport with this guy. You ain't got no development with this guy. Now you're going into the biggest fight of your career. You know, and who knows, in 6 or 8 weeks, man, I don't know you enough like that. Even if I'm an experienced fighter. I mean, an experienced trainer. You got to develop that. Sometimes it works.
Yeah, I'm not going to develop that chemistry in 2 months. It's not going to happen.
How? I don't, you know, I can't, my heartbeat and your heartbeat ain't synced up in 6 weeks, bro.
Y'all have to be together 24/7.
Yeah, man. So I don't know.
I think that father-son issue, to be honest with you, I think it's not an issue of coaching. I think what it is when promotion companies and different people are trying to vie for the services, they don't want to deal with somebody who's saying this isn't best for my kid. They can, you know, you've been into the situation where they say, well, who's managing the kid? And, you know, they want to talk to that person because that person is just strictly thinking business. Nobody wants to deal. They don't want to deal with a coach manager. They want to deal with a manager and a coach's separation, because they can talk to the manager and say, we can't get this kid to take the fight because the coach keeps turning it down. We need another coach. And they'll make those type of changes, or it'll be deals that are there that you think this isn't worth it to my kid, but they know a manager may have taken that deal. You know, I think that's the biggest thing that they throw in there for that coach fighter thing. And the one beautiful thing that we got from talking with the whole Mayweather group, they were telling us, what do you want for your son? What does your son want? Every company that we had any conversation about, they were all great. I don't have any issue with any of them. But the best fit that we had from a conversation was when Leonard Ellerby started the conversation with, what do you want for your son? He spoke to my son as a fighter, saying, hey, let's do what's best for you. And then he spoke to me as a dad. We didn't talk about boxing a lot in the first few conversations. It was about, what are your plans? What do you want for your son? Where do you see him at in his adult life after boxing? And those were the things that kind of made me say, hey, this is where my son should be. And I was seeing why he wanted to be there. And it was so different. You know, my son wanted to actually start his pro career at 16. He was like, man, look, I'm ready. I can fight. Leonard Ellerby was the first to say to my son, graduate high school first. He was like, you got a long life, but graduate high school first. And it just so happened that my son is one of those brainiac kids in school, and he graduated a year early. But he focused on that. Leonard would call and ask about school. He wouldn't call and ask about boxing. He said, you got your whole life to box. How's school going? What your grades looking like? When my son got his final report card, his GPA was 3.68. That was what Leonard was more into, was that. That was what his thing was first. Then he said, okay, now we'll turn the focus on boxing. We wanted to sign and do everything. Leonard was like, take the steps the right way. Finish high school. When he finishes high school, then we'll talk about getting a contract done. Then we'll talk about fighting. And that to me meant a lot, because this was somebody that was genuinely interested in him, the person, not just him, the fighter. And any company we talked to other than that, they talked about the business of boxing, which they're supposed to talk about, because we're not per se friends. We're talking about business. But to have somebody take it away from that and make it more about we care about his aftermath of boxing, not just his boxing. That was the triggering key point for me. If something happens to me as a dad and I'm no longer here, I want to know that the team around him still cares about him.
Let's talk about that for a second. You said earlier that you had different offers from different promotions. How did you stated why you chose why you chose Mayweather and the Mayweather team? How was that experience? Is that the promotion that you had your eyes on and was really hoping something would happen, and when it naturally happened that you were excited about? And then two, did you get a chance to go out and meet Floyd Mayweather, and how was that experience, if so?
I actually met Floyd a long time ago, prior to me actually signing with Floyd. I actually met him, what was that, 2013 at the Junior Golden Gloves?
It might have been when Vito took you out there.
Yeah, that was 2012.
Yeah.
In 2012, we had, I went to a tournament in Las Vegas, in Mesquite, Nevada, called the Junior Golden Gloves. And, in between the tournament, we had took a trip from Mesquite to Las Vegas to go train at Floyd's gym and, hopefully get a chance to meet Floyd. And he just so happened to be in the gym that day. And after we all trained, he had took pictures with a couple of young fighters, and I got a chance to take a picture with him and meet him. And he was like, you're a nice little young dude. Yeah. At the time, I never thought like, oh, I'll be signing with Floyd at 17. So let's flash forward to now. It's like, no, not even now, to like July of last year. I went to an expo out in Dallas. And I met Floyd again there. At the time, we were more so moving towards interest in signing with Mayweather Promotions. He was like, man, I remember that young dude. And I was like, yeah, we had met a while ago. We met when I was a youngster. He was like, yeah, man. He said, I knew you looked like a fighter. And I said, I know.
So, and what's your weight class again?
147.
Oh, okay. How tall are you?
5'10".
Okay.
Oh,
shit. Who do you like right now at 147?
I like Earl Spence.
Yeah, he got a big fight coming up.
Yeah, he got a real big fight coming up with Danny Garcia.
What are your thoughts on this fight?
I think it's even though Earl is already a big fighter, I feel like it's a real big step up fight, and it's more so a pass the torch fight. Because the past decade, from 2010 to 2019, Danny Garcia was a big name fighter as an amateur and as a pro. Yeah. So now that Earl is the next litter of the crop, the next cream of the crop, it's more so like a passing the torch fight.
You don't like him in as the king of welterweights, eh? Are you worried about them injuries or what? You think he done completely recovered or what? That's what I worry as a trainer. That's what I worry about. Him getting
I feel like we won't really know until he gets in the ring. No headgear, 8-ounce gloves. Because anybody can feel good. It's a controlled session of sparring. You sparring with 18, 16-ounce gloves, and you got on that thick headgear. Anybody can feel good. And you're going at a different pace when you sparring. The pace is much more slower.
We'll see. We'll see if Dan is able to land one of them no-look hooks.
No-look hooks.
That's what my dad called it. He said, man, he throw that shot out that iron, that shot in the dark.
Yeah. So
but Danny be seeing that. Hey, for real, people joke about that. But if you watch Danny get a glimpse of that thing before he throw it, and then he know where that thing going.
It's a rhythm punch. Yeah, it's on purpose.
Man, that thing be vicious. But I think Earl Spence, man, is just he a different type. My son, he always talk about you know, the Terrence Crawford. He liked the watch Terrence Crawford.
Yeah.
But I'm one of those. I tell him all the time, you can enjoy watching Terrence Crawford, but when you look at my son's skill set, I would say he has a skill set more linked with Earl. When you can put size in the ring, size can cover a multitude of sins. You know, when you got a little bit more size to play with on your side, that big shot that other guy throw that's non-forgiving, it might forgive you a little bit.
Yeah.
And
Earl big.
Just using his physicality on the guy. When shit
he's got some broad shoulders.
When his shit ain't going his way, he can body up on you and it deters you, you know.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I'm a Spence fan, man. I like his Errol Spence attitude. I like how he carries himself, man.
Yeah.
It's hard not to be a fan of that guy. For me, anyway.
Well,
I'm a New Orleans guy, but I've been in Houston 20 years, bro. So I like that. He's Texas through and through, bro.
Yeah.
With that, okay, we'll see.
You know, before this accident, man, I was excited about Earl, and I'm still excited about him. I want to see how he bounced back from this accident. I think Danny Garcia is a big test. Hopefully, we get this fight behind us. We get a win and get back on the path that he was on. Because I mean, anytime we talked about Errol Spence in the gym, it would end up with a Canelo matchup in 5 years. You know, him going up in weight, getting stronger, beating everyone at 147, going up to, you know, ending his career at 165 possibly or 160, because he had that frame. Every time we see him, he's a little bigger. Man, walking away from this accident, that's no joke. So we're gonna see how it's gonna affect him inside the ring. Who are some of the people that you've had the opportunity to spar in the ring?
I've had the chance. You know, I've been grateful enough and thankful, you know, to work with Javante Davis, you know, Gary Russell, you know, Gary Antonio Russell, Gary Antoine Russell, Rashid Warren.
Nice.
Man, a lot of these guys, you know, just giving the young guy, you know, a chance to showcase his ability, and I'm real thankful for it, you know, because they ain't have to do it, especially with Tank. You know, Tank brought me in on 2 different occasions, 2 different camps, well, 3 actually, for the Nunez fight and the Gamboa fight. What's the 3rd occasion?
The one he fought in Baltimore.
Yeah, that's Nunez.
The one he fought in
Atlanta, that's Gamboa.
And the one before the Baltimore fight. We didn't go to the fight, but you was in camp before that. You was in camp.
Oh yeah, I didn't want to consider that one because, you know, that was the camp I did the least amount of sparring in.
Yeah,
but he still bought me.
He was there though, bro. He looked good. I forgot that Hispanic kid that Tank fought, and that dude that came to fight. Tank had to fight. You know, Tank had to stop him. But and then that Gamboa fight, man, that shit's amazing, bro. If Gamboa, I mean, clearly something was wrong with his foot, right? When he injured, man, I can't see a dude, man, fighting on a ruptured Achilles, man. And he was there all night to when that fight got stopped? 11, 12?
12 rounds.
Gamboa dog, man. Gamboa dog.
Man. Yeah, man. Like I remember when he was the hot product. Remember the hot prospect?
Yeah.
And I walked away from him like everybody. You know, Cuban rhythm fight, and once you figured him out, boom, you started getting clipped and shit. And to watch him in that fight, I was like, man, that's a fight man right there, bro.
Yeah.
You should never count him out. You know what I'm saying? He proved it with that fight, man. And even though, you know, he's on the back 9, but still, bro, that was a hell of a performance, man. And hobbled like that. You know, clearly something's wrong with his foot. It wasn't a fake
that's how I know he's a dog, man. You know, in between rounds, in between the first and the second, and the second and the third, his corner, they was talking about, man, we could call it. We could call it. We could stop the fight. It could be considered no contest. It's between the first 4 rounds.
Right.
And he was like, nah, man, nah, I'm good.
Take that shit up. Yeah, take that shit up. Let's go.
I'm saying, and my seat was like right behind that corner. I'm like, man, he is trying to work. He is coming to fight tonight.
He was trying to win.
I was amazed with that. I was amazed.
How many boxers you seen put tape on their ankle with a fight going on? That's some football stuff.
Never, I don't think. I can't remember a single time that shit happened.
Nah, I was like, that was amazing to me. That man vicious.
Yeah, bro. That's a dangerous guy. Yeah. Jalil, give me your top 3 pound for pound right now, man.
Active fighters?
Yeah, active right now.
Number 1, I guess, because you can say accolades, Terrence Crawford. Even though, most people would have a controversy between my number 1 and my number 2. My number 2 would be Earl Spence.
Oh shit.
And my number 3, the number 3 is between either Tyson Fury or Canelo Alvarez.
That's my. You named all the ones I got up there, regardless of order. Yeah, that's the best fighters in the world, man. I tell you, man. I heard your daddy earlier say how you were, a Bud fan. Man, I'm a Bud fan too, bro. I see. That's why I want that Clash of the Titans, man. I want Spence to be 100. You know what I'm saying? I want him to shake.
Yeah, 100%. So we can see both fighters at their best.
I think that's a style clash that's gonna make for a good fight, and it's gonna be the big strong kid, right, who can box against the clever boxer who made himself. You know what I'm saying? It's that
the clever fighter who can adapt.
I like both of them, man. I like both of them, and if we don't get that fight because of that accident, it'll be terrible.
It'll be the biggest what if in boxing.
Hey, Dad.
I'm gonna tell you something, man. I'm gonna tell you something. That Tyson Fury, bro. I ain't never seen. Hey, that's another one. We was talking about Eastern European. I ain't seen an Englishman, man, outside of Lennox. But Lennox came here and got educated, right? He didn't get educated in the States. Man, I'm such a Fury fan, bro. I was like, man, you don't understand, bro. I predicted him. I told everybody we're gonna knock what you call him out this time. I said, bro, y'all think because Tyson be selling that shit. I said, Tyson's Irish, bro. We just talk shit. I said, Tyson Fury is telling y'all the truth when he say he gonna walk for it because he's an educated fighter. He knows, man, I boxed this dude's ears in and he still clipping. And I almost, I got up by the grace of God. I can't let this dude get set. I got to push him and plug him and jab and feint and make him go backwards. Then
in my opinion, that was the deciding factor in him winning the fight. He made adjustments between the first fight and the second fight. In my opinion, I feel like Deontay didn't make any adjustments, and I'm a big Deontay fan, but I feel like he went out there with the same game plan.
Yeah,
as
just land the fight.
Yeah, I'm gonna land the shot.
Man, that 25 pounds helped too that Tyson Fury put on. You can't discredit that extra 25 pounds.
And that's what you gotta understand. That man was telling everybody exactly what he's going to do. They even said, man, you coming in bigger. Yeah, because I'm going to walk this motherfucker out. Everybody said, oh, he's talking shit. And like you said, Deontay just figured, all right, it took me a while to catch him. I'm going to just throw it. I'm going to catch him early. And people say, how can that dude believe that shit? And I'm like, hell, it worked 40-something times in a row, bro. That's how him and his trainers in his corners, and most of all his fans, they believe you can't tell him he can't land that shot. And
put him in there with any other heavyweight, and he knocks them out the same way he's knocked out 40 or however many people he's knocked out.
But
Tyson Fury has an IQ that he didn't come in there prepared for.
Here's the problem now. That was rough, bro. that wasn't no just knock him out. That man took a beat. And as a trainer, and I told Clarissa Shields this when we talked to her, I said, as his trainer, you know, I got opinions about all that, but I said, you know, do you fight Fury like this? And Clarissa would say, yeah, you're the world champ. You want to get your title back? I said, yeah, but it was such a mismatch. Both fights. The first one, boxing wise. The second one, it was vicious. I said, do you make them Englishmen pay you to step aside, get your free 7-8 million, let them 2 English boys figure it out, go knock you out a guy. In the meantime, make sure you safe and sound up here, and then go ahead and get it back. And she was like, but his age, he's like 35, 36 years old. It's a hell of a situation right now. And for Deontay Wilder, and like your dad said, it's really where business and the people who care about the fighter is who's going to win. You know what I'm saying? Now, if he just wants to fight the dude again, so be it. It's his destiny. He do what he wants. But man, that's the type of fight, man, where dudes, you get changed in there, man. That shit was vicious, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I think it went to 7. Round 5, I was already saying
his corner needs to throw the towel in.
Yeah, I was saying, and when they came out that Breeden wanted to throw I said Breeden was trying to do the right thing for the fight. And they was like, you don't stop this fight. Because when he did throw it, they was mad. I'm like, man,
Breeden, y'all could get this man killed, or he can never be the same.
Breeden knew what the fuck he was gonna look at. He knew it. And my thing was this. You know, with that bleeding from the ear, and come to find out it was just a cut. Great. That's the best thing it could have been. But you don't know that. You don't know that.
It could have been a bursted eardrum, anything.
Some brain juice coming out. I don't know what the fuck that is, man. That shit ain't stopping. And then,
that could have been y'all last time seeing that man walking and breathing.
And clearly, his equilibrium was already shot and all that. So that could have easily been something, listen, hindsight's 20/20. But in the moment, I was saying, oh, I done stopped this fight. I'm through. I'm done. We come back, reset, redo, whatever.
Live to fight another day.
Yeah, and like I said, I probably would have took the step aside money, let Joshua and Fury fight. As long as in my step aside money, I'm guaranteed to fight the winner of that fight. That's what.
And guess what?
That's what I did.
And y'all know who's his people, so y'all know they can negotiate that.
Yeah,
boom.
That I would have did that. I wouldn't have went right back with this dude. I wouldn't have went back with him.
Y'all ain't part of the
no joke.
Y'all ain't part of the conspiracy theory with the glove gate, are y'all?
Nah, hell no. Hey man, it's just like they be talking about putting the asterisk next to Barry Bonds and all them records. I don't care how strong you are, you still got to hit that ball with that bat. So I ain't going for that. For that. That's just what it is.
Coach, I won't even argue that no more. When they bring that shit up, I say, okay.
Yeah, I ain't arguing about that.
That's clearly somebody who ain't inside of boxing, who ain't back there.
I ain't arguing that point. I ain't arguing that.
Hey,
you can look at them firing Mark Breland and just say, it ain't real because they fired Mark Breland.
Yeah.
You know who can clear all this bullshit up? If Deontay come out and tell his fans, look, guys, I had an off night.
Simple as that.
It's simple as that. But no, they hanging on to that shit. And I'm gonna tell you something, man. That's another reason why he shouldn't take that fight. Because he done blamed everything but Tyson Fury for kicking his ass, man. And how you supposed to regroup, adjust, train to make a difference when it's all them excuses, man. You can't. That's another reason you got to know to be inside boxing to say, hey man, you got your ass kicked. Here's why. Okay, now that we know the why, let's train and fix that shit. Now we can come back and try to do it. But if you holding on to them excuses, bro, I don't care if it was the gimp suit or fucking gloves or whatever that shit was, man. None of that had nothing to do with that dude kicking your ass, bro. Take that step aside money, put in there, but I get the first, depending on if Fury
whoever win.
I want this here rematch in Vegas, whatever. And that's how simple that is. You get some free money, some big free money, and you put yourself in a better position to try to change the outcome. I don't get it.
No matter if he step aside or not, them the only three heavyweights that anybody care about seeing fight each other. Then nobody care about nobody else fighting in the heavyweight division except for them three.
And you know this, coach. Take that step aside money. Go get you a name heavyweight, one of them guys in the top 10, man. Knock his dick in the dirt and get you some confidence back. Let you know, I can still land this thing. I can still land. Then get ready, get prepared to fight the weightlifter or Fury, man. See what we can do. That's just good boxing sense. That's good boxing sense.
I think because the worst thing Deontay could do going into another Tyson Fury fight is to be second guessing the thing that got him there. The thing that got him to 42-0 or 41-0.
And that's the thing. And that's the thing. We've seen Deontay on Quit Street a couple times, and that bomb, he come back. Yeah,
that's good night, Irene.
You remember that other
Ortiz?
Yeah, Ortiz.
Yeah,
it was Ortiz that had him beat. And then
remember that Haitian, that first fight against the Haitian.
Haitian.
And he came back in there and saved that fight, man. So he got to believe in that right hand 1,000% like he had. You need to do that.
So in the beginning of the show, you talked about how you like that Mexican style boxing. I want to get it on record real quick. Who, in your opinion, Dad, is the greatest Mexican fighter of all time?
Julio Cesar Chavez.
That's right. Okay.
Hands down.
Where the coach go? Where the coach go?
Right here. Yeah. Hands down, Chavez. Chavez to me is one of the top 5 pound for pound ever.
Wait a minute, Manny. I see what you're trying to do. I ain't never said Chavez ain't the greatest Mexican. He is right now. I see people and stuff. My name is Mexican.
No.
But anyway,
what? I spent. It was last weekend, man. I was over here in Texas. I don't remember what happened last weekend, but for whatever reason, I don't know if it was the weather or whatever, we stayed in. All my events got canceled on the weekend. I stayed in. I was watching a lot of these fights from the 80s, man. And I was watching. I had to watch at least a good 12 hours in the 2 days. 12 hours of nothing but Chavez, from documentaries to his fights. And man, I just relearned a bunch of stuff that I already knew, but with time and with so many boxers coming after him, you just sort of forget. And I mean, this kid, and I realized, I'm like, this is why he is Mexico's greatest fighter that's ever. The dude used to live in a box cart. He had 37 world titles, 5 titles in 3 different weight classes. I mean, before he even consummated his marriage, he had to go win the world title. He had gotten married, and then they had to go find him and his wife up in a mountain, and it was the cops, and the dude was like, Chavez was scared they were going to arrest him for getting married to this chick, and he was like, "Now we need to escort you back into the city because you need to go fight for this title." I mean, he was to Mexico as what Ali was to America, because he was a political martyr. He had connections with the dude. Would spend one night with Chapo doing, partying, and then the next morning be with the president of the United States. I think the dude is he's definitely, and I like Canelo. Coach and I, we have this feud going back and forth. He loves Canelo. I'm a big Canelo fan.
But I don't think we can consider Canelo the best Mexican until his career is over. Then we compare. Then we compare resumes.
Exactly. And he probably still won't match the legend of Chavez, like you just said. I didn't know that. I didn't know that about him being homeless. Hell, that's Jack Dempsey's story, except for Mexican guy. Yeah. So he probably never gonna match.
He used to sneak into the boxing gym. And that's how he got started boxing, because his older brothers were boxers. His older brother was a boxer, and they wouldn't let him fight. So he had to sneak into the gym after his brothers left, just so he can train. But yeah, man, I wanted to share that. I spent about a good 12 hours just reliving the whole Chavez story. I thought it was great.
Hey, you know, and it's funny. What made Chavez a legend is about to happen again. What made Chavez a legend is at the time he was fighting, every fighter wanted to be the best. So they wanted to fight each other. There was no, I'll fight you only if it's for 10 million. I'll fight you only if this. You had guys taking fights for way less because I just want to fight you. Yeah. And that's what Chavez was fighting like a television show. You knew once a month you was going to see a Chavez fight. And they were against whoever. And to me, with this young crop of fighters that are coming in the next 2 years and that came in the last 3 or 4 years, we're about to see that happen again, because these young guys, all of them came from the amateurs together, and they got the amateur mindset. I don't care if I lose because I can get right back in line, because that's still fresh to them. And because they're getting an opportunity to win titles so early, they're still looking at it like the amateurs. So you're going to look up in the next 3-4 years, and you're going to see the Shakur Stevenses, the Teofimo Lopez's, the Devin Haney's, the Boots Ennis's. You're going to see all of those guys almost forcing promoters to work together, because they saying, I am tired of people saying I'm scared of this dude. Put me in the ring with him. Because they don't care about losing, because they're still amateur mindset of I can get right back in there and fight again. That's what made the 80s the golden age of boxing, because those dudes didn't fear losing a title. In order to be a legend, you have to have legendary nights. And none of those guys that we say are the greats finished their career undefeated.
Right.
They all lost to each other. But that's what made, and this group of young fighters, I'm proud my son Gary started his career, because I look forward to fighting the Shakur Stevensons, the Teofimo Lopez's. Him and Boots was together in New York, and they was like, man, one day we gonna get this thing on. And that's what boxing needs, an infusion of 10 or 12 fighters that are all around the same weight class that say we want to fight each other, like you had with Duran, Hagler, Hearns, Mugabe. That's what made those guys legends, not the record. I'm 60-0. I'm a legend. No, it's how good you do after a loss. A loss defines the man. That's what defines him.
That's exactly what I'm talking about with Deontay. The great fighter, I just told you, man, Joe Louis was stopped. Everybody could be stopped.
Yeah.
The difference is you go back to the gymnasium and say, you didn't beat me. I beat me. I fucked up. I should have never let you do that shit. Coach, come on, let's get on these mitts. Let's get some sparring. Let's get ready and go beat. And that's absolutely the difference between great fighters and good fighters. And good fighters. Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You know, can you imagine Tommy Hearns not like him getting knocked out and say, oh, fuck it.
Nah. Hey, when Chavez beat Mildred Taylor, Pernell Whitaker got right in line, said, nah, we got to do this.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. And these boys, and what I agree is these boys are just as good. These boys are educated fighters. We just got to match them up and start. I'm going to tell you something, man. That last camp, we was over there with Shakur, getting ready for the little small fight he had. Oh, you know,
Yeah,
And
the first fight back. Yeah.
yeah, that first fight back, and Shakur was in there sparring with Shockey Foster, right? That was the chief sparring partner in Houston, bruh. And I normally leave. You know, once I'm done, I'm man. When them boys was sparring, bruh, I was just enjoying it, man, because I say these fights here gonna be better than that show. I see who you matched up against. This right here is class shit right here. I'm watching all this. And the difference is, man, personally, I'll tell you, since you said his name, that Shakur Stevens kid, bro, he wants to be the best. He wants to be the best.
By any means necessary.
What good is he being a world champ when it's another cat out here y'all saying is better than me? No. Let's get it happening. Now you have to figure out, you know, the politics from the money men management and shit. But in the end, the fighter's gonna dictate. You know, if the fighter goes in there and says, hey man, I want this guy. Nah, fuck all that what you're saying. This is the guy that say if he demands that, they gonna follow suit. You know what I'm saying? They gonna follow suit and try to make this fight. And with these this young crop of fighters, man, they educated, they good, they dogs, and match them up. You know, Fury Wilder showed you, even at the elite level with millions and millions and millions of dollars, we can make it happen. So I damn sure can make it happen for Spencer Bud. I damn sure can make it happen with Lomachenko or whoever. All these guys, man, and man, boxing been so good even through this pandemic sidetracked us, but man, the last 10 years, boxing we've been on fire, bro. And
the heavyweight division, 147, all them divisions have been on fire.
Man, you about 5 years away from seeing the welterweight division be the top 10 in the welterweight division is going to be so stacked where anybody could be the champion. And in 5 years from now, you can see fights between Boots and Devin Haney at 47 in the next few years. You can see fights the way it's going. Shit, Tank could be any goddamn way. You know, Gervonta Davis could be there. You can see Teofimo. I think Teofimo is a big puncher. You can see Teofimo mixed in that group. I mean, then you gotta look. One of the, I think, under the radar big punches that they got that could be at 47. Antoine Russell. Twan can punch. He can straight crack. I think he done knocked out everybody he fought so far. That welterweight division is going to be jam packed.
But I'm gonna tell you, man, I'm at welterweight, so you know I'm watching the welterweights, man. That's where we competing at. I brought Quentin from he did amateur at 52. We was always gonna do 47, you know, and we fought. Shit, the second fight we beat that Clay Collar kid who's upsetting everybody, right? And boy, I'm rooting for that kid because wasn't nobody behind him. He was taking the short money, and I was loving watching him knock out these undefeated boys and look at them. I was mad they was taking fights from him. Some of them fights they was giving him draws and shit, and he deserved to win. You know, we was over there at the zone. We fought on the zone. I forget what undercard, and Clay was on that one. He was fighting a golden boy, undefeated guy, and he whooped the shit out of that boy. I'm watching from the monitor, and they gave him a draw. I said, man, this poor kid, man, he lines up the fight, and they keep taking the shit from him.
Yeah, they call him like the prospect punisher or something like that, right?
Yeah, he's a spurler, bro. I call him the spurler, man. You put them boys up there thinking you're gonna take this easy fight. Shit. That boy, you gotta beat this kid, and he's coming to win.
Hey, but remember they used to do that to Freddie Pendleton, and Freddie Pendleton, when he got his hands on the strap, Freddie he said, I'm here now. Like I said,
sometimes them boys, I be like, that's how you know who got the boxing mind of the business mind, right? You be like, oh, they think they got easy pickings. This shit about to be up here. And you see it, you be like, they a lot of these management guys be like, oh, we'll take him, you know, and them records be confusing you sometimes. You know, like that Clay kid 4, 2, and 3. oh, let's get him and do a showcase, and he come in there and kick your kid's ass, man.
Man, that shit real. That shit real.
Bro.
I mean, the thing, what you just saying, I think the thing that kind of puts Floyd in that legendary status is not the undefeated record. The fact that Floyd Mayweather said, I'm going to buy myself out of my contract with Top Rank. Then I'm going to turn around and put my whole career on the line and fight Oscar. Because if he don't beat Oscar, it's a no conversation.
Right, this story don't end like this. Right.
Absolutely. So those type of decisions that you make, like you said, sometimes you got to take your career out of the promoter hand and take your career in your own hands if you got the faith in yourself. If your faith and talent, your faith and talent in yourself might say, I'm going to bet on the best person in the race, and that might be yourself.
Absolutely. Now, I ain't know Jalil. I ain't know you. I haven't seen you. I didn't know you was that tall, bro. Yeah. That make me excited, man, because I'm that's my forte, bro. Them skinny, tall kids, man, using their length and reach, man. I got to see you. I got to see your face, bro. I'm gonna be filing. I enjoy you coming on the show, man. Cause we ain't doing nothing but talking boxing, bro.
It's crazy. It's crazy you say that. It's like this height thing happened overnight for real, or I guess you could say over the corona, because around February or January this year, I went to the doctor. I went in at 5'8", 5'7". Oh wow! And I went to the doctor, bro.
You still had a spurt.
Yeah, I went to the doctor not too long ago, and they was like, "Yeah, you 5'10" and 3/4." So I'm like, "Oh,
yeah,
where all this come from?"
I've heard of kids hitting one again at 20 and shit, bro. Hitting 2-3 inches, man. So, yeah, bro, I'm gonna be paying attention, man. I'm glad y'all came on here, man. Who you got pound for pound all time, man? Who your top 3 favorites?
Top 3 all time. Number 1 would be Floyd Mayweather. Number 2 is number 2. I don't want to be biased. Number 2 will either be, I'm gonna have 2 number 2s. That's cool.
Yeah, it's subjective, man. Go
all
ahead.
right. Number 2 is between Marvin Hagler and Sugar Ray Leonard. Because that's a real toss-up. I ain't know who to pick for number 2. And number 3 is Pernell Whitaker. That's just a favorite. It's just a favorite.
I had 2 boxing idols growing up, bro, as a kid in the 80s and shit. And one was Thomas Hearns, and the other one was Sweet Pea Whitaker. And I tell everybody, I say, because I could pretend and make believe I was tall and skinny. I could pretend and make believe like I was the hitman. But I couldn't pretend and make believe like I was Sweet Pea Whitaker, because nobody can be Sweet Pea Whitaker.
Nobody. You
can't act like Sweet Pea, man.
Nah, man, I fuck around and get beat up trying to do that shit.
Hey, man, let me tell y'all something, and that's just because all the shows or interviews he's been on, they always talk about a pound for pound. I want everybody who's a fan or a background person of boxing, when they do the pound for pound list of all time, check out Henry Armstrong. I think Henry Armstrong is one of the most underrated fighters in the history of boxing. The man held 3 world titles in 3 different weight classes at the same time and defended all 3 of them simultaneously. And he fought 21 times in 1 calendar year.
When there was only 8 weight divisions.
Yes.
And he should have had 4 of them. They robbed him. He went and fought up there at light heavy, and they robbed him. He had all the titles, bro.
Henry Armstrong never is mentioned on people's pound for pound, but if you go do a background check of Henry Armstrong, then a lot of people will put him in their top 3 ever.
Because
Hammer and Hank is my number 4, bro. I'm all about it, man.
I was reading about Henry Armstrong too, after my dad, got me hip to him a little bit. And man, in some of his contracts, it was saying, man, you can't knock him out until the 13th round.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, and it's like, man, he used to let
bro.
these guys survive until the 13th round, and then 13th round, 20 seconds then he knocks him out. So it's like he let him do that.
He was
So,
like,
yeah,
talk about war of attrition. He broke people. He broke.
Yeah, he broke you down. Yeah, he feel like a pit bull. I'll just keep biting you until you give up.
I'm going for the throat. I'm going for the throat. And soon I don't care if I catch an ear or arm. I'm gonna shake that motherfucker till
it come off.
And when you talk about that craziness, like you were saying about Chavez and Chavez documentary, they talked about the boxing, but Henry Armstrong and him both had a lot of comparisons because they talked. I saw the Chavez documentary too. They talked about the stuff that he did outside the ring, like those nights of drinking binges and then go to the gym, dating some of the most, popular, famous women that, from Mexico. Henry Armstrong the same way. They say he would come to the gym just completely drunk. He was an alcoholic. He dated some of the top women of his time. And they were like, he would come to the gym so drunk he could barely stand, but he'd get in the ring and he'd train after drinking all night. Those are the things that you would never want a fighter to do, but those are the things that make him legendary. Like, who does that?
That dude was bad, bro. That was a bad dude, man.
Are y'all excited about this Mike Tyson Roy Jones fight?
Interesting. Very interesting.
Man, do you know if this fight goes off the way that they expect it to, don't be surprised if some company, maybe a TV network, Al Heyman, whoever, they're going to throw a whole bunch of money behind getting a lot of ex-fighters to come out and do exhibitions. Because them dudes ain't really got to make a weight. All of them probably at their age heavyweights. Yeah. And can you imagine the money? Because we live in a time when reality TV is the biggest thing. Man, if they throw that on television and they show a 30, 60-day training camp with these legends and then show them fighting, man, they might be making more money than fighters trying to get their first world title.
Dude, if they could drum up and pay a reality guy $1 million to fight, and I have never heard of them. That ain't my age group, but I have no clue who they are. I gotta ask my children, hey, who is this guy? And they say he's a YouTube thing. If they could give $1 million to him, you think they can't give $1 million to Evander to get in that ring with whoever, or whoever, man. All these bricks.
Man, you can see some wild fights. Can you imagine at the age now seeing Tony Lopez versus Jorge Paez?
They ain't gonna run. Ain't nobody gonna be sticking and moving.
Nah, ain't none of that.
Man, I know a great idea, and I know they probably thinking of it too. They already making money off of it. A lot of these rappers and stuff, they fake being the gym, wanting to box and all that. And y'all, these rappers, they beefing, man. Let them get in the ring. Let them get in the ring. You see a guy like Jada Youngin or NBA YoungBoy, they get in the ring and fight.
Nobody gotta get killed. Just get in there and get
y'all get in this ring and fight.
Get your gloves on, tough guy. And let's see
that ain't gonna ever happen, man. When you see these dudes on Instagram and you see them trying to hold their head back and punch like this, oh man, all credibility goes out the window when you fight like that.
Bruh, I be thinking, I said, these guys ain't got nobody around them saying, don't put that shit out there, man. Cause
they be looking crazy, man. They be throwing punches like this. I be like, man, what are you doing?
Oh man, at least do a few training sessions, learn how to throw a right hand, then go ahead and do your mitts.
Man, did you see Stephen A. Smith when he was doing the mitts? Did you see Stephen?
Man,
he should never talk about another boxer again.
Did y'all see when they had Snoop Dogg trying to be like a MMA guy or something? He looked like he was gonna fall down from trying to throw a punch, man. I said, this shit is crazy, man. Y'all killing y'all own image,
Yes, that's what they're doing.
Image, that shit is crazy, man.
Well, we really appreciate y'all taking the time to come on the show. One last question. something that you talked about earlier when you had when you guys were making your decision to sign with Mayweather. What's the future look like for you outside the ring? What is it that you want to tell your all the viewers, your fans, the future self? Where do you see yourself in 15, 20 years from now?
I would definitely tell them, look for Jalil Hackett, the businessman, to still prosper even after boxing, because most people, after boxing is over, they done. And if they didn't handle their money the right way, all they got is pictures and memories. I feel like they'll be able to see Jalil Hackett outside of boxing, with other sources of income other than just Jalil Hackett, the fighter, or making money off of boxing or whatever.
Nice.
Great answer, man. Great answer.
It's 2020. I can't wait till 2035. See the 35, 40-year-old version of yourself, man. You look back at this and be like, man.
Yeah, because I feel like for these fighters to retire and not have anything, it's too much money out here for them to be like that. You have real estate. You can invest in real estate. You can invest in businesses such as barbershops, funeral homes. All this money out here for these guys to retire and not have any money. That's not good.
Well, son, it starts with having people around you that care for your well-being, and secondly, the people who care for your well-being even having the know-how to do that.
Yeah.
It all has everything to do with the people that you associate with, man.
That's what's up. Make sure y'all tune in tomorrow. I'm going to be going live with Marlene Esparza at noon on Instagram. And I want to go ahead and apologize to Earl Spence. She's been waiting in the background. In the back room, waiting to come on the show. Earl, it's Jalil's fault. You took all your time. So
you're going to have to try to come back next week, man.
Yeah, we'll get you on the show next week, Earl. All right, man. Well, we appreciate you guys. Any last things that you want to say, or where can people find you at?
I wanted to make sure people can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Jalil_Hackett, and on Facebook at Jalil Major Hackett. And y'all gonna be seeing big things from me soon. And man, Coach, whenever y'all got sparring out in Texas, I'm definitely welcome to travel and come out. Get some work.
Oh man, absolutely. You at the class? I got all three of my pros is 40, 47, man. So
okay.
Yeah, bro. Houston, we out here in Katy, west side of Houston, man. Definitely.
All right, definitely.
We're gonna plug up, man.
All right,
appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate y'all.
All right, have a good one, man. We'll catch y'all next time.
All right.
Yeah.